Welcome to Evolve with the Modern Caveman.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Evolve with the Modern Caveman. I'm your host, Gilbert Diaz, aka the Modern Caveman himself. We have a great show prepared for you as always. Today's episode is an episode that I've been looking forward to producing for quite some time. It is a lesson that I've been looking forward to teaching for quite some time. If you're joining us for the first time, let me be the first to thank you for tuning into this podcast, and let me be the first to welcome you to this evolution. If you have any questions in regards to what this podcast is all about, feel free to check out any of our other previous episodes where you will find tons and tons of content that can help you evolve into the next best version of yourself. I want you to know that time is your most valuable asset, and the fact that you have chosen to spend that time with me, it is something I do not take for granted, not one single bit. And it is my goal and my intent here on this podcast to pour as much value as I possibly can into your life with the time that you have afforded me. That being said, let's get into some of that value today. Like I said before, this is an episode that I've been looking forward to producing for quite some time because this is a lesson that I've been teaching in my private life for quite some time. And let me be the first one to admit that this lesson is one that I have not mastered in my life. In fact, most of the things that I've covered on this podcast thus far are things that I have not mastered in my life. These are things that I have learned um, over time, uh, while being on this evolutionary journey to become the best version of myself. These are things that I continue to struggle with in my life. In part, this podcast is me kind of just talking back to myself and reminding myself of the things that are important, the things that help me become the best version of myself, the things that elevate me to to the place that I want to be. So today's episode is no exception. It is one that I have not mastered in my life, but it is something that I try to keep at the forefront of everything that I do as much as I possibly can. It is something that I try to practice on a daily basis, and it is something that I'm one of the maybe one of the first things that when anybody asks me for advice in regards to self development and becoming the best version of yourself or reaching your highest potential, this is one of the first things I kind of teach everybody. I think the first thing I teach people is about responsibility, right? Your ability to respond. And I think this might come second. Um, and it's called Selfishly Selfless. That's the name of the today's podcast episode. It's the name of this lesson. Today I want to talk to you about you. Today I want to talk to you about putting yourself first. Today I want to talk to you about filling up your cup before you go and try to fill someone else's cup. uh the whole concept of selfishly selfless actually came about a few years ago when I was talking to a good friend of mine. He's a very dear friend, and he was kind of telling me about how he wants to be the best father that he possibly can to his children. And in the process of telling me this, he confessed that he often feels like he's working on fumes. He often feels like he's being stretched thin. He often feels like he's working against himself. and that his kids, his family, were not getting the version of himself that he wanted to present. And that kind of steered us into a conversation about priority, putting yourself first, making sure that that before you're able to kind of fill anybody's cup, that you yourself have to be filled first. And we got into this deep conversation, and at some point I told him, I said, a lot of people go through life believing that being selfish is a terrible quality. And in many ways it may sound that way, right? Because we're often taught that we should be selfless. And I believe that if you are somebody who is listening to this podcast, if you're somebody who's into self-development like I am, you're in this field, or you're listening to these words, or you're educating yourself in these areas because you want to serve. I truly believe you want to serve. Maybe maybe you want to be a leader in your family, and you want to serve your family better. You want to be the best parent you could possibly be. You want to be the best spouse you can possibly be. You want to be the best sibling or child that you possibly could be. And I think you could be a child um, all the way till you're gray and old, right? You want to serve your family better. Maybe you want to serve your business better, right? Maybe you want to serve your clients better, provide them the best kind of service that they can ever possibly experience. Maybe you want to be able to build a team around you that can that can look to you with confidence, knowing that you're leading them in the right direction, that you're going to make their lives better. Maybe you want to serve your friends better. Maybe you want to um, create more quality relationships, deeper relationships with them, so that they can be able to pour into their family. Maybe you want to serve your community better, right? Maybe you want to be that person that people can turn to in your community when things go wrong. Maybe you want to be that person that people can look up to uh, as a role model. Maybe you want to serve your church better. Maybe you want to be the example of what Christ was to what Christ is to us Christians. Maybe you want to serve. Maybe I truly I truly believe that if you're listening to this, if you're about growing your mindset, it is because you want to serve at some capacity. And that's what we call selflessness. But let me let you in on a little bit of a secret. Unless if you want to be selfless, you must first be selfish. If you want to be selfless, you must first be selfish. You must put yourself first. You must prioritize your well-being. You must prioritize your life. So today I want to kind of break down a few things that that will occur in your life if you do not put yourself first. And then I want to give you a few tips that you can start implementing today, that you can start exercising today, that will begin to put yourself at the forefront of everything, and will really be the catalyst to become the best version of yourself, which I believe that everybody who's listening wants to be. You guys are high performers. You guys are are champions. You guys want the best for yourselves and for your family, and you guys want to serve at your highest capacity. And today we're going to talk about how you could do that. Very, very important. Um, Actually, this whole concept, right? I remember the first time I really began to think about being selfishly selfless was actually while watching a National Geographic program about lions. Now, here's a fun fact about lions. When lions hunt and they bring down their prey, the very first to eat, right? Let's actually let me backtrack a little bit. Lions will often go days without eating. They will go days without eating. In fact, and this is probably going to be connect to a future lesson that I have planned. In fact, lions perhaps do not accomplish a kill 80% of the time. 80% of the time when a lion goes out to hunt, and sometimes that's even more, they will come back in failure. They will come back without the prey. And because of that, they can go days without eating. So by the time that they finally bring down their prey, the pride is starving. Now the question is, who eats first? Well, the first to eat are are usually the male lions, and the reason for that is because they're the leaders of the pack. They're the strongest members of the pack, and they are the intimidators. They're the ones that go out there and set their territory. So they're the very first to eat, and then after them is the lionesses, who are the really the backbone of the entire pride. And after the lions and the lionesses eat, then the cubs eat. Now, how many of us, if we were hungry, we would if we were able to get a meal, if we have a family, um, how many of us would eat first and tell our children, well, they have to eat last? Not many of us. I know it would be very difficult for me to do it, but I had kind of some trouble understanding exactly why um the lion cubs were not the first to eat. After all, I think the preservation of the pride is essential. Well, it's actually because of the preservation of the pride that the lions and the lionesses eat first. You see, because if the lions and the lionesses do not eat first, they will not be able to take in the proper nutrients, and they will not have the energy or the stamina in order to hunt again. So the pride survives because the lions and the lionesses eat first. And as the cubs grow, they become more intricate parts of their social circles, of their pride, and being able to contribute better, and so they're able to 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 eat at some point at the same level as their family members, or um their older, I guess, yeah, family members, best way to describe it. Anyways, but the first time I really grappled with this was while watching that program, and I really learned about how sometimes we gotta eat first before we're able to pour into our children, before we're able to pour into our spouse, before we're able to pour into our community, our church, before we're able to pour into anybody. We have to make sure that we feed ourselves first. If you've ever taken a flight, you're probably familiar with the pre-flight, um what they call that, the pre-flight procedures, where they kind of go through all the emergency um all the emergency steps if there was an emergency, and the airbags, the oxygen bags fell from the top. uh the number one thing to do if you have a child is to make sure that you put the oxygen mask first on yourself before you put it on the child. Why? Because if you're incapacitated, then you're not able to help your child. So today we want to talk a little bit about that. So very quickly, uh, I want to talk to you about 8 things. If you do not put yourself as the priority, 8 things that if you're not selfish for yourself, what it will cause in your life. Number one, I think this is perhaps the most obvious. If you are not selfish and putting your and prioritizing yourself, uh it keeps you from being selfless. It actually keeps you from being selfless because it is it because you begin to deplete yourself. You begin to deplete your energy. You begin to deplete um all that you have, and you have nothing that's able to kind of refill your cup. That's number 1. Number 1 is that you it will actually keep you from being selfless. Number 2, it sets you up to be taken advantage of by others. I want to repeat that because so many people don't realize that when you do not put yourself first, you are setting yourself up to be taken advantage by others because you are unable to communicate your limits. You are unable to communicate your boundaries. And this often leads to a life that is filled with resentment and exhaustion. I can't tell you how many times uh I have uh I have been in relationships. What I mean by relationship in professional or friendly relationships where I'm giving my best, I'm giving my all, and all the other all the other people are just kind of just taking and draining and draining and draining. And what ends up happening afterwards is that I'm exhausted. I'm not feeling the best. And then I find myself unable to provide the selflessness that I was trying to do in the first place. And so I become resentful of those people because eventually what ends up happening is those people end up leaving. Those people end up, once they've taken all that they can take, they move on to the next. So by not prioritizing yourself first, you actually set yourself up to be taken advantage by others. By not putting yourself first, you set yourself up to give grudgingly. To give grudgingly. Because you are giving from a place of scarcity rather than abundance. You see, when your cup is full, you're giving from a place of abundance. You have to give. And so because you have to give, your giving is more authentic. Your giving is more joyous. But when you give from a place of scarcity, right? You're giving out of obligation. This creates, well, like I said before, resentment. This gives this begins to exhaust your mental well-being. Number 4, by not putting yourself first, by not eating first like the lions, you become less productive because other people's needs become the focus, not yours. How can you be able to be the best version in whatever space that you're trying to be the best version of yourself in, whether it's in your job. How are you able to be the best that you possibly can be in your job, or in your personal life, in your relationships, if you can't value yourself first? If you can't focus on what makes you the best version, makes you happy, how can you be productive in those relationships? How can you be productive in those spheres? So you become actually less productive when you do not put yourself first. Number 5, you begin to experience burnout. You begin to experience burnout because you begin to burn out all your energy on other people. I believe that burnout is the product of lack of purpose, right? I think you often see people who who may have a million different jobs in their life, right? They're a parent, they may run a business or two, they may still be going to school, they may be doing charity work, and somehow they just keep on going, they have a smile on their face. Meanwhile, somebody else may have the same plate and they just feel like they're burning on fumes. Well, what's the difference between the two? I believe that the person who has that smile on their face is because they're doing it with a purpose. They're purpose driven. And when you have purpose in your life, that's where that energy kind of comes from. And see, the problem when we don't prioritize ourselves first, we do not we're no longer following our purpose. We're looking to fill someone else's purpose. We're looking to fill someone else's expectations. But when we prioritize ourselves, it doesn't matter the load that we have on our shoulders, right? We do it and we grind through it with a smile on our face because we know that there there's an end, there's a purpose to the process. There's a purpose to the pain. And so we're more willing to go through it. Number 6, it creates unauthentic relationship relationships. If you do not put yourself first, you will create unauthentic and unsustainable relationships because your relationships are based on what others can drain from you rather on what they can pour back into your life. I want you to really think about that. Your relationships become based on what others can drain from you rather than what you guys can reciprocally pour into each other. Your relationships are less authentic. Number 7, when you do not prioritize yourself, when you do not put yourself first, when you're not selfish, it keeps you from achieving your goals, dreams, and aspiration because you are never the priority. You are never the priority. How do you expect to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish? How do you expect to achieve your dreams if you don't take the time to invest in them? If you don't take the time to put yourself first, to make those dreams a priority. I hear from so many people who minimize their dreams, who minimize their life because they are constantly doing for others, right? They're doing for others. They minimize their life because, well, I have to bring myself here because I'm giving to this person and they won't kind of allow me to get to that point, right? How many exhausted parents are there who just gave up on their dreams uh because they've just become so consumed with being a parent? Let me let you in on a secret. And this is something that one of to me one of the best coaches in the in the space right now, Ed Milet. One of the things that he wrote in his book, The Power of One More, he said the the most insidious form of child abuse is a parent who does not live up to their highest potential. The most insidious form of child abuse is a parent who does not live up to their own potential. And the reason for that is that most times children hatch things. Not they're not taught, they caught things, right? They watch us, and based on what they see us do, they internalize it and they make it a part of their life. So when they see their parent not becoming the best version of themselves, when they see that their parent is not pursuing their dreams, when they see their parent not not striving to release the greatness that is within them, then how are they supposed to believe the greatness that's within themselves? How are they supposed to believe that their dreams are achievable? How are they supposed to believe that they're meant for greatness? How are they supposed to believe that that they have purpose in life? So my advice to you is prioritize your dreams. By prioritizing the things that get you there. And finally, number 8, if we do not prioritize ourselves and be selfish in this area, it keeps us from reaching our highest potential because we have chosen not to invest in ourselves. We have chosen not to invest in ourselves. Your highest potential is literally uh is can only literally be achieved when you have chosen to put yourself first. Your highest potential, the best version of yourself, can only be achieved when you have decided to stop living for others and start living for yourself. Now I know that's a very hard concept, especially as a parent, right? Because I live for my children. I say that every day, right? I live for my children. But until I begin to live for myself, how can I be the best parent for them? Until I begin to make myself the priority, how can I reach my highest potential? I really want you guys to think about that because I think it's such an important part of if not the most essential part of of this self-development, this evolutionary road that we're on. So very quickly, I want to give you some tips, right? Those were 8 different ways. If there's anything else that you may think of, please shoot it to me on a DM and let me know. I'll create another video later on and we could kind of discuss that more in depth. But if you have any other ways that this can stifle being not being selfish can stifle your growth or anything like that, please let me know. I'm more than willing to listen and learn from you. But very quickly, I want to give you 10 very quick tips that can help you begin to put yourself first, make yourself the priority, and so that you can see the highest forms of your potential. Number 1, you have to start investing in yourself. You need to invest in your mindset, right? You need to invest in your mindset. The way you perceive the world is based on your mindset. The way you take on challenges and the way you pursue your endeavors are all based on your mindset. You want to work on your health set, your heart set, okay? Your body. Work on your body. Make sure that invest on your body in your body. Make sure that you're constantly um doing well by your body. Don't consume things that are gonna deplete your life over time. Instead, consume things that are going to be good for you. The Bible talks about your body is your temple. Treat it as your temple. Uh, invest in your soul set, your spirit, right? Read your word daily if you can. Read your word daily. Spend time in prayer. Invest in your relationship with your God. Um, invest in your passions. Invest in your passions, the things that wake you up in the morning, the things that get you excited, the things that move you closer to your purpose. And finally, invest in your skill set, the things that you are good at, so that you can be more productive on the marketplace, so that you can be more productive in your community, so that you can be more productive in whatever sphere you're trying to be the best at. And so if you heard any these five things, you will know from previous episodes this is all about investing in your state of being. Okay? You could definitely find that out in one of the our previous episodes, okay? It's all about investing in your state of being. Number 2, surround yourself with people who pour value into your life. Okay? Look to surround yourself with people who are not going to be um actually John Gordon has a book out there called energy vampires. Energy vampires are people who come into your life and all they do is just drain your energy. Don't look for people like that in your life. You want to look for people who are going to pour value into your life, who probably have more to give than than they have to take. Those are the kind of people that you want in your life. The people that you may even inspire to be. Like you the kinds of people that are gonna push you to and hold you to your own standards. Okay. Number 3, always remain a student. Always be willing to learn. I believe once you stop learning, you stop growing. Always be a student, always be willing to learn, always be open to the idea that you may be wrong sometimes. I may be teaching something one day that I may look back on and I may say, "Hey, that might not be something that I would endorse today." Be willing to fail, be willing to be wrong, and always be willing to learn. Be a student. Um Number 4, pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. Now, I think this is even more important when it comes to finances, right? It's something that I actually started doing in my life, where we kind of just started taking um, money and putting them in little kind of buckets, little accounts, and whenever we bring in money, we kind of just pay ourselves first, a small little percentage in each one of those buckets, right? We have a bucket for our children, we have a bucket for our own selves, we have a bucket for vacations, we have a bucket for our dreams. Whatever it is, pour into yourself first, right? Now this may not just apply to finances, this could apply into everything, absolutely everything. Whenever you learn something, right? Pour into yourself first. Pour into your family, your your kids and stuff like pour into them, right? Right? Pay yourself first. Number number 5, focus on the positive. I've talked about this many times on this podcast. Whatever you focus on, you will magnify. And I believe that negativity is the source of that drains your life and will keep you from achieving your greatness. Positivity and more importantly optimism is I believe is an accelerator to becoming the best version of yourself. So focus on the positive. You know, there may be a lot of negative things that may be happening in your life, but the moment you focus on something positive, you begin to expand that and it becomes the the center of whatever you're trying to pursue. So definitely focus on the positive. Number six, take action now. Take action now. If you have a goal, dream, or aspiration, something that you want to accomplish in your life, do not wait for Monday. Do not wait for tomorrow. There's so many people talk about um on Monday I'm gonna do this. On Monday I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna have a whole lesson on this called Monday, but on Monday I'm gonna get there. What about now? What are you doing right now? Take action now. Once it's in your mind, once it's in your heart, take action. Don't worry about how am I going to do it. Don't worry about the how. Just go do the action and learn from the process and and work your way to achieving it. Okay? Number 7, set standards in your life. I've talked about standards and expectations before on a previous episode, right? Set standards for your life. And like I said before, surround yourself with people who are going to hold you to those standards. Do not uh live by other people's expectations, but set a high standards for your life that force you to be disciplined, that force you to create good habits in your life. Number 8, and this is one that I think I have a hard time with, and I know there's a lot of people that have a hard time with this, but rest. Learn to rest to become your best. I'm gonna have a whole other lesson on this in the future, but resting uh gives room for self-reflection, and self-reflection creates clarity, and you're able to perform better when you're able to have a much more clear mind. Number 9, set boundaries. Set boundaries. This is, I think, such an important thing that we often don't talk about enough. Set boundaries in your life. Give people limits to how much access that they have to your life. Set boundaries so that they're not draining your life, and you're able to perform at your very best. And then finally, number 10, protect your time. I talked about this in the I say this in every uh pretty much every podcast episode. Time is your most valuable asset. Time is your most valuable asset. So you have to be selective with what and who you choose to spend your time with. Okay? If they are not serving you, then they don't need to be in your life. Okay. If that person is not serving your needs, is not pouring value into your life, they don't need to be in your life. If what you are doing is not serving you, but taking from you, if that habit that you have is not serving you, but taking from you, then it no longer needs to be in your life. Conduct an audit of your life. Look at what's serving you and what's not serving you, because time is money. That's a very popular term, right? Time is the most valuable asset, and the fact that you're spending time um entertaining those things, you're only is only keeping you from the things that that are um that are the forefront uh of your greatness. um and I think more importantly, live in the present. Live in the present. So many people live in the future, right? You hear about it all the time. Dreamers. There's gonna be a day one day when I'm gonna do this, or there's gonna be a day where I'm gonna have this. The dreamers, right? And I'm a big believer to dream. There's people that live there and don't actually ever achieve anything. And then there's people who live in the past. They live in the old chapters of their life, right? They live in that victimhood mentality, right? Of all the pain that was inflicted on them before, and now they're suffering unnecessarily, right? Something I actually was reminded of today is that suffering is a choice, right? Pain Pain is something we have to go through, but based on how we perceive pain, we can choose to suffer, or we can choose to pursue with gratitude or any other kind of emotion that will serve us, right? Some people are living in their previous victories, right? They're still talking about the achievements that they had 10 years ago, 5 years ago, last week, whatever it is. Live in the present. Do what you need to do now. Okay? Those are the 10 tips that I have for you to um set your life up so that you are prioritizing yourself first, so that you are being selfish, so that in turn you can be selfless for others. My ultimate goal, I believe, here is to help you become the selfless person that you want to be, the person that can serve your community, that can serve your church, that can serve your family, can serve uh this life to the best of your ability. And the only way to do that is by being selfish and putting yourself first. So if you enjoy this episode, I want to first of all, I want to thank you for getting through this episode with me. If you enjoy this episode, all I ask is that you comment, let me know what this episode has done for your life, how it impacted your life. But share this episode with a friend or a family member that you believe could truly find a lot of benefit from this. And also, if you haven't already, check me out on Instagram at Modern Caveman's Club. That's Modern Caveman, MEN, not MAN, on Instagram. There you could shoot me a DM. Like I said, let me know how you enjoyed this episode. Let me know how you're enjoying the podcast. Give me your feedback. Your feedback helps me refine this podcast to better serve you. And like I said, that's my ultimate goal here, is to serve. So let me know what you think of it. And if there's any insights, anything that you think that any value that you want to pour back, anything that we've covered here that you want to add to the conversation, feel free, let me know. I'm always all ears, and I'm constantly looking for ways to learn. So um definitely let me know. uh Remember, put yourself first, be selfish so that you can be selfless, and remember, keep evolving the modern caveman way.